You have a special responsibility because of the frontline nature of these operations. 10,000 staff, all but one of the health regions where ambulance cover will be affected. Are you putting lives at risk?
The harsh reality is that lives are being put at risk now. Our paramedic members are telling us that people are dying now because of the state of the NHS. That is the reality. Only 25% of shifts have the planned staff actually on that shift. There are 133,000 vacancies across the NHS in England alone. And what our members are telling us is that lives are being put at risk now and that people are dying now because of the state of the service, because of the level of vacancies.
So how does it help by reducing that cover even further?
We now have no choice. Our members have.
Well, you do have a choice if you go back to negotiate without the strike action actually going ahead.
The point I made earlier on was we are happy to negotiate, but the government will not negotiate with us. Instead, it talks about a pay review body. That's not negotiation. That's putting submissions in and then the government deciding whether or not it likes those submissions. So there are no negotiations. The reason why our members have no choice is because we have made these points over and over again. Now, we have paramedic members relying on food banks. We have paramedic members sleeping in their cars because they can't afford the petrol to get to work. That is how bad things have got. And that is why our members don't have a choice. Right. Strike action is a last resort.
Yeah. Is part of the problem, however, that the unions, as I understand it, actually signed up to the very structure of having an independent pay review body?
The pay review body, in reality, is not fit for purpose. We have engaged with it for years, but it is not fit for purpose, as has been seen this year. What we need is negotiations. What you said earlier on, you are absolutely right. We need to negotiate, but we don't have negotiations in the NHS.
Yeah, is it, just to get down to the nub of it, is it the fact that you don't like the figure that the independent pay review body came out with?
The figure that the independent pay review body has come up with and has now been imposed in England and Wales comes nowhere near dealing with the cost of living. That is the reality. Negotiations, we believe, will take us further. Just look at what's happened in Scotland, where there's a slightly different system where negotiations do take place. Right. In Scotland, there have been negotiations. There is an improved offer that is now being put to workers. OK, so you share the view that Mick Lynch has been talking about in this last 24 hours as well for the RMT, that the government is not engaging in discussions or negotiations. Correct. As far as the NHS is concerned, it is not engaging in any meaningful negotiation. There's been some discussion with Steve Barclay, but that was not negotiation about pay. The government didn't want to talk about the fundamental issue of pay.
And just very quickly, last of all, clearly in terms of the public sector, the pot of money available comes from the taxpayer. Do you accept the government's position that this is not a pot of gold?
The reality is that there is no choice. It's a false economy. We've read reports, we've seen reports in the media about the number of people who are not working now because they are sick and unwell. Look at the huge sums of money that are spent on agency staff within the NHS to cover those vacancies. So it is a false economy. And if we're talking economics, if you pay people a decent wage, they then go out and spend that money and that helps the economy. It really is that straightforward. It's ABC.
Okay.